Ariel.
Ariel's here. So yeah, this is Let's Make a List. Every week we pick a topic relating to books and movies. We haven't done a book one yet, but movies, TV,
Pop
video
culture.
games, pop culture related things.
Fun
and
stuff.
we make a list and talk about our choices. And we talk about some other stuff.
Yeah.
So today...
And then we fight to the death
Uh-huh.
over things that we like verbally.
Today's focus is mostly on TV shows, which we haven't done yet.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. But, like always, we have things to do before then. Responsible things to do
Ooh.
by responsible adults.
Take out the trash.
Pretty much.
Do your taxes.
Pretty much.
Be polite to people.
Pretty much.
Cool.
I think we should do our taxes over a radio show. That would be beneficial for
That would
everybody.
make taxes more fun for us.
It's a lot of information people would want.
Yep.
Okay. Real quick, if you want to call in anytime during the show and tell us how correct we are in our choices, you can call us at 707-981-7577. That's 707-981-7577.
And if you're just calling in to disagree with our choices, that's fine. I'm happy to stand my ground and defend my list, or I could just as easily cave and go, nah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's a better show.
Same here. Especially if it's someone I don't know, I'd have a lot of trouble actually arguing with them, especially over the phone.
I think I could do that just fine.
Oh, cool.
Especially because, well, that doesn't make me seem like a very nice person, but it is true. We have the power of the hang up button. Pew. Oh, you said that my show's stupid? Uh-oh, dropped a call.
Do you want to get going? Do you have anything you want to tell the listeners out there?
Nope. I am super excited to be on your show. Thank you for having me as a guest.
Thank you very much for being on. 2 weeks in a row.
Hey-o.
You're always welcome.
You're welcome.
As you know.
Radio listeners.
Radio listeners.
Welcome.
So I always like to try to start with talking about stuff that doesn't have to do with our show. But
Awesome.
then I like to talk about anything new that's going on right now in movies or music or anything like that I
Ooh.
feel like I want to comment on.
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes me think of making a list. So here we go. The new Thor movie comes out today.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok. Word I did not know how to pronounce until very recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've heard it before, but I never knew that's how you spelled it.
Yeah.
And so now I know how to say it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. Whenever I learn how to pronounce something and remember how to pronounce it, it's a special moment for me.
I'm really proud of you.
Thanks. High five.
That's the sound of a very high-charged high five, which will be very accurate to Thor Ragnarok, considering that it's very 80s. So there were definitely
at least the
light
advertising
tracers.
is. I wonder how much the movie's actually is that way.
I'm really hoping that there's okay, I don't know the word for it, but
Boom
it was
boxes.
definitely it was definitely a thing in 70s and 80s shows when, let's say, somebody would jump in the air for a high five and the frame would freeze, and then there would be a couple other ones, but in bright colors.
Yeah.
What was that?
There
must
I think
be
it's called special effects.
boom.
I don't know what it's called. That
Yeah, but that kind of thing is what I
Yeah.
think of right now when I'm thinking of the advertising for Thor Ragnarok, and I'm really hoping that kind of stuff happens in the middle of the movie.
kind of Captain EO-ish.
Yes.
Yes. So speaking of Thor Ragnarok, let's see. I wonder if we're going to agree on this. Let's see if we can agree on the top 5 Marvel movies. I have a list of them.
Ooh.
So the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
All right.
Ooh.
Top 5 movies. Let's see. Quickly, we don't have to order them. Just see if we can agree. I'm curious to see.
Avengers.
Avengers, you have in your top 5?
Yes.
How about this real quick? I'll go through them real quick, and then in the one by one, and then we'll go. Okay, that one goes, and that one does not.
Okay.
Iron Man, for me so far, yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk, after no.
Mm-mm.
Iron Man 2, no.
Mm-mm.
Thor, no.
Mm-mm.
Captain America: First Avenger, probably so far.
I think that
it's a nominee.
It was a pretty good one. I think that Winter Soldier was better, but
Yeah. Well,
I mean, whatever.
we haven't gotten there yet. Avengers, yeah.
Yes.
Iron Man 3, I think that's a possible top 5. Oh, really? You didn't like it? I
Is
like
that-
Iron Man 3. Iron Man 2, I did not like. Iron Man 3, I liked. That's the one with Ben Kingsley.
Okay. I was mixing them up because Iron Man 2 is the one where Gwyneth Paltrow turns into a superhero, right? Or is that the end of Iron Man 3?
That might be the end of 3. I did not care for the end of 3.
Okay, because I
don't think.
hated that whole storyline. I mean, I was really happy that, what's her name? Penny? Or whatever the character's name is. I was happy that she had some agency finally, but it was such like a weak Band-Aid to cover the fact that it was a female character that they just really didn't update.
Right.
In any way, shape, or form to make a human being. And so it was just like a little bit insulting and it made me angry the whole movie.
I thought up until basically the last 10, 20 minutes probably of Iron Man 3, I thought it was good. Actually, it was funny, and I thought they had the Ben Kingsley character. I thought they did a good job of building him up to be like this scary figure, and then it was just, I actually thought it was funny.
I thought
which is
that
rare
was
for me in those kind of movies.
I thought that was great, but it definitely was not enough to make it one of the top 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you're wrong and I'm right.
No.
Let's move on.
The thing is, I only remember the stuff I liked.
No, we decided that I'm right, so
right.
we can continue.
Okay. Thor 2, better than Thor, but still,
Yeah.
Winter Soldier, yeah. That's
I think
one
that's
of
one of the
ones.
stronger ones.
Guardians of the Galaxy, not the first one, not for me. It does not go top 5.
But Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Oh boy.
This is very structured. No. Avengers 2, not for me.
No.
Not to say these are bad. I'm just saying not top 5.
No, but they're not necessarily the strongest.
Ant-Man, same. It's fine. Captain America Civil War, I liked it, but not as much as I don't know if it's top 5. Doctor Strange, for me, yes. I love Doctor Strange. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I'd say probably yes. And then we haven't seen anything after that. We saw everything up till then. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's good. We should be proud. We spent a lot of money on movies that everybody sees.
The Hollywood industry.
So we had Iron Man, Captain America, First Avenger, and Winter Soldier, I think. Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I think those are my top 5.
I'm not going to agree with you on Doctor Strange. I think that Benedict Cumberbatch was great as Doctor Strange, but the whitewashing of that movie, I can't get over that. That's unacceptable to me. And so it's like I was able to enjoy a lot of the movie, but I was also just like really, really grossed out and disgusted by the fact that great, you're giving a role to a woman, but the problem is there are so many Asian actresses out there that are amazing. So how about either Hollywood, you give that role to an Asian actress because it's an Asian character instead of trying to push Asian actors off the big screen the way that happens so much. Like there used to be a time where you could just have one black actor. Now it's basically you can only have like one Asian actor. You can't just hand out the roles equally, which is really stupid. And
but who would they pick? Name like 50 Asian actors.
All right. Let's take the time.
I like when people do that as an argument. Well,
they're huge Asian countries. Come on. They have their own industries, and there are also tons of Asian actors in Hollywood that are really, really good. And but it's like also Tilda Swinton, maybe don't take that role.
Yeah.
Like have that voice in the back of your head say, "Oh, I shouldn't take this. I think that you should look at this actress." Like that's same thing with Scarlett Johansson. I'm coming for you both. But yeah, I can't put that on my list because I don't want to support that.
I am okay with that. I
I'm gonna say that from my soapbox.
Totally understand. Yep. No, that's a good reason.
I would maybe actually put Thor 2.
Thor 2? Okay.
Because that one, Ralph Fiennes, I think was the dark elf, right?
Are you thinking of Harry Potter?
I'm forgetting who the dark elf was. Was it Ralph Fiennes? It might have been Ralph Fiennes.
Let me see.
But like there was some stuff. There's also a lot of problems with Thor, but I don't know. That movie was more entertaining than the first Thor, so maybe I'm thinking that it was better than it actually was because it was not as bad.
Yeah,
Thor.
You're thinking of Idris Elba. He's in that. Oh, no, you're thinking of Kat Dennings
in Thor 2.
Yeah. Are you thinking of Natalie Portman?
Was it Idris Elba?
Oh no, you're thinking of. We're gonna phone call. I think you're thinking of Chris Hemsworth.
Okay. Who is it?
Oh, I actually don't know. I'm looking. I'm not seeing.
Okay.
I don't know the character's
Let's
name
answer
is.
the phone.
All
Let's
right.
see who we've angered. Perhaps it was Stranger.
All right. Hello. Thanks for calling in. Who is this?
It's Chris Eccleston.
Oh, hey.
Thank
thanks,
you
Chris
very
Eccleston.
much, Chris Eccleston.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh,
Oh, that's the character you're thinking
oh
of?
yes, of course.
Also,
It's Loki,
I,
right?
I actually, well, I stopped.
No, wait. Hold on a second.
No, in Thor 2, the dark elf who is
No, but
Yeah.
who is the direct.
oh, I was thinking of Tom Hiddleston.
No, but that's
No,
not.
no,
that's
I know,
not the.
I know,
I
the
know,
names, the
I know
names.
that that's
I
who
mean-
you were thinking of.
You're telling me that I was.
I was talking about the nemesis.
I know. I
and
was
you were
explaining-
thinking about the brother.
I was explaining how I got the names mixed up.
Am I still on the radio?
Yeah, sure. What's
Yes.
going on?
Oh, hi. Goodbye. That's it.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the correction, strange caller.
Bye bye.
That was Chris Eccleston himself. Calling
Heckelston,
Eccleston,
Middleston,
Iddleston,
Heckelston,
Heckelston.
and Meddleston. It's Tim
Middleton.
Tim Hiddleston and Chris Meckelson. See, they're very close.
No, they're not.
That's why. See, I don't know why you think it's weird that I get it mixed up.
No, it's because you said them in such like alphabet soup so many times that I couldn't even tell where your point was ending or beginning, or if you were actually saying them right or wrong. They just in different iterations. Okay, Marvel movies.
Chris Meckelson and
No,
Tom Nicholson. I think Rene Russo is in the movie. All right. All right. So is that gonna? Are you sticking with Thor 2?
sure.
All right.
Eh.
Well, we agree on 4 of them. That's pretty good. And I have no argument against your argument about Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
I have no argument against that.
Yeah, I think this is probably the same conversation we had when we walked out of the theater.
Yeah.
And I could be budged on Thor 2 easily.
And by the way, I'm not saying I'm okay with what
No.
they did. I just I still enjoyed the movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now let's talk about our 30 favorite characters from CW shows in the 1980s. All right.
Oh my God, no.
CW didn't exist in the 1980s. I
No,
don't
they
think.
did not.
Trick question. All right, before we get to our list,
Mm-hmm.
I have another thing I want to do.
Okay.
We just watched season 2 of Stranger Things.
Yes, we
show
did.
we like.
No
So-
spoilers, but it's awesome.
Spoiler-ish. I like the first season more,
Mm-hmm.
but that's all.
Yeah.
So, as you might know, a movie from my childhood, which I've talked about on this show before, that I liked was Jetsons Meet the Flintstones, because I like it when it's the crossover between two worlds. And how can you get any more different? Two different ones, like in the past, one's in the future. It's so crazy. So, what 80s movies in 80s movies world would it be fun to have a crossover between Stranger Things and that, where the characters from Stranger Things switch with the characters in the other one and they're placed in the same predicaments?
Does it have to be TV show crossing with TV show?
No,
or can
movies.
be-
It's Stranger Things,
Mhm.
and
Oh.
then what 80s movie? I'm considering movies 'cause I feel like Stranger Things, even though the TV show, it feels more
It's
like a
kind
movie
of
to
more
me.
like a movie because there's no other way to watch it than to binge it, even though we did actually make it stretch.
Yeah, we did like 3 sittings.
Because we're grown-ups. Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I think that there are a few things that would definitely work very well. I think that you could definitely cross it over with Ghostbusters.
I think that would be fun to see them
Easily.
in each other's place.
Yeah, and you could definitely cross it over with Gremlins.
I have Gremlins and Ghostbusters on my. I wrote down a few things that'd be fun.
Yeah.
It would be fun seeing the Stranger Things kids trying to deal with Gremlins.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Don't feed him after midnight. Oh, bother.
Yeah.
Um,
I was thinking it'd be fun to put Teen Wolf into the Stranger Things world.
yes. Oh,
To
yeah.
see how
Because
he would deal with things.
yeah, and not only Teen Wolf, but Teen Wolf, because isn't there like I've never actually seen the movie,
Uh,
But isn't there like basketball?
Yeah.
And
The second one is boxing.
And in Stranger Things, there's basketball because they're
yeah?
like the high school students
There you
are
go.
playing basketball. So it could be like Steve
Yeah.
and Teen Wolf become friends. Yeah.
I like that.
And also Steve's hair is like its own character that could basically operate on the court. Yeah.
One that I thought would be fun is the Escape from New York. Have the kids go there and have Snake Plissken go into the Stranger Things world. I think that would be it'd be a little weird putting kids on a prison island, but it'd be fun to see how they react and interact. Monster Squad, you basically just have the same movie and the same show.
Yes. Very much so.
I would want to put Ash from the Evil Dead movies into Stranger Things world. That'd be fun.
Splash.
Splash. Yeah.
A hopper.
Oh, that'd be pretty good.
Handling
I
a
like
mermaid.
that'd be pretty good. There's also Big Trouble in Little China. Be fun to see
Yeah.
both those.
Oh,
Pretty-
that would be like, because there's so much underground in that lab
Yeah.
where they're like, wait a minute. To the left, there's mermaids and tanks. And to the right, there's some weird, questionable Chinatown. It's like got real crazy stuff going on. Cool.
Cool. So yeah, just thought that was kind of fun to think about.
Yeah. Ew.
Should we go on to our list? Because then I have more stuff to do after our list.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So today we are talking about our favorite, the best, number one, at the top of the list, top 5 TV ensemble casts.
Yes.
A lot of sounds. So first, we didn't discuss like this at all. So we're going to see if we interpreted it the same way. Where did I put my water? Oh, there we go. Thank you. And so what I was going to say was, sorry, I was thinking about water. What kind of, I basically had to look up ensemble cast because I was kind of, we came up with the idea and I was like, I'm not quite sure what that means. But ensemble, I feel like, is a cast where there isn't just one or two main characters. It's a group of characters and they all kind of have semi-equal billing.
Yeah, where you can look at any character and not only like their backstory, but their performance. And that one character who isn't necessarily in the forefront can hold just as much weight and water as the characters that are considered to be the main characters.
Yep. And then there's the differentiation between the characters and the actors. So you have to go best ensemble cast, or it of course it matters. Both matter. It matters who the characters are and who the actors are. So that is part of it. And then and I think that's all that goes into it. Cool.
I have a question for you.
All right, I'm ready.
Did I need to come prepared with actor and character
No,
names?
of course
okay.
not. Nope.
Okay, because that would
No,
be
no.
a much more involved listing game. Show.
As you should know by now, being prepared is not something that you need to worry about on the
It's
show.
a fly by the seat of your pants show.
I have notes. I prepare a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yes, you do, which is awesome.
But it usually ends up with me going like, this thing, what did I want to say about it? So that's a way to go into the list. Should we start?
Yes.
So we're doing top 5, counting down from 5. We're in order this time.
Ooh.
Do you want to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I would be very, very excited to go first. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
Cool.
Okay.
Number 5.
Had to straighten my jacket.
Thank you.
My number 5 is Firefly.
Ooh.
Joss Whedon's Firefly.
Starring Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk and
so many others.
Yeah.
And it was a short-lived but well-loved show that had a movie
Yeah,
that was supposed to kind of tie it together. And people are still hungry for it, but the people who work on it are like, nah, we're good.
You want to know not very well known trivia about that? About the movie? So the show is called Firefly. Movie called Serenity.
What?
One of them is the name of the ship.
Serenity's
Which
the
one?
Name of the ship.
What's Firefly a reference to? The person?
Firefly. Oh my god, I know this, but I'm totally
One of the characters?
Firefly class. That's the. It's
Ah.
the Serenity is a Firefly class spaceship.
Okay. So if they make another movie, what's it going to be called? It's going to be called
Brown Coats. Which is actually, that's a part of the universe.
Yeah, okay, cool.
That's why the main character wears a brown coat, is because there was a war and he was on the side of the brown coats. Boom. Knowledge. Nerdisms.
Nice. Yeah, thank you. Good job.
Yeah. I thought that the ensemble cast on that show was great. It was like a super nerdy kind of, lo-fi is like the wrong term, because it didn't have a huge, massive budget. It felt very much like a sci-fi channel show that was shot in Canada, which I think is exactly what it is. And like not distributed by Sci-Fi Channel, but just, very low budget. But it was a fun show. And Nathan Fillion was not only a great mainish character, but like just everybody brought something that was really fun to watch.
That made me think of something that's not on my list.
And everything was shiny.
Ooh.
Yes, it was.
I'm gonna have a couple honorable mentions in here.
That mention right there was for Jim.
I've seen one episode of Firefly, and I thought it would, like Doctor Who, I thought it was well done. It just didn't grab my interest.
Yeah, sci-fi fantasy is not your world.
Yeah.
It's not your thing very much.
That's true. The things that are considered sci-fi are the kind of things that people who really are into sci-fi would not consider sci-fi, probably.
I.e. Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Trek's, is that sci-fi? It's sci-fi.
That one's more sci-fi because there's actually like scientific thinking behind stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris, also known as Stranger Caller, could definitely go into depth about this. So sometime in the future, I think that you guys should definitely make lists about sci-fi versus fantasy stuff, because that and it might have to be a short list so that you could actually go into it. But I think that it's definitely more sci-fi than Star Wars.
Well, in Star Wars, they explain how the Force works, don't they?
It's true. They go midi-chlorians.
Thanks. I was trying to think of the word.
Midi-chlorians. All right. MIDI.
So I'm pretty sure that was based in
I think that
fact.
The fandom went, ugh.
Which movie did they introduce that? Was it Phantom Menace?
Episode 1, yeah.
Is that why it took so long for George Lucas to release it? Because he was in a lab trying to figure out how the Force worked. Yeah. He's like, finally, I got it. Now I can explain it. He was like, I got
the Force in a jar.
Yeah. It's probably pretty shiny, too.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Firefly?
Mm-hmm.
Nice, good choice.
What's your number 5?
Good choice. That would be... I should just... why would I ever say bad choice? My number 5 is very similar show.
Oh.
The League. The League on FX and later FXX, I think. I'm not sure if that's true. But it's very much like Curb Enthusiasm, where there is a kind of there's a ridiculous plot that I usually go like, whatever. But it's just
a ridiculous plot that follows very, very flawed people.
Yeah. And then, but just when the characters just hanging out talking, because it's mostly improvised, it is very, very entertaining. And and yeah, it's at each main character, those actors I enjoy in pretty much everything they do, and it has some of my favorite characters ever. And just when they're just hanging out in a room talking, because those characters are so developed and the people are so funny.
Yeah,
I love it. It makes me happy.
It's a very satisfying show.
Thank you. All right.
It's also a show that makes me like want to wash my hands a lot.
I get that.
Okay, number 4.
Number 4.
Thank you.
Right.
My number 4. Ooh, I think I might get flack for this.
Dun, dun.
My number 1 through 4 are really difficult because I love them all very much.
Okay.
And I just kind of had to give up like really going into things, and it's also like how I feel today. It might not necessarily be true all the time. I did a little dinosaur arms. My number 4.
Do you want to come back tomorrow and do the show again?
I'm going to edit it right now and change them around to the way I think it's actually true. My number 4 is Stargate SG-1.
Oh, let me. This is fun for me. I try to name as many actors as I can from that show with my eyes closed, so I'm not cheating again. I'm gonna say the guy that played MacGyver. Gosh, I know his name, but I can't think of it. It is. Is it Richard something? I don't know. All right, well, that's fun. Okay, I'm gonna look it up. But yeah, that show I enjoyed watching with you. Is that? Would you say it's sci-fi? Would you say it's sci-fi?
I mean, after hearing a specific person who's already been mentioned discuss the difference between sci-fi and fantasy, I don't want to call anything sci-fi ever again.
Yeah.
Because I honestly don't know that I would accurately label it. Whenever I think of sci-fi, I always think of spaceships and space being a part of it.
Yeah.
And so my instinct would be yes, but I don't really know that it is right.
It's Richard Dean Anderson, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Um,
Yeah, I love
I
that
enjoyed
show
that.
because it's very hokey, and they know it, and they really roll with just things that fans enjoy.
It reminds me of Star Trek Next Generation episodes when they go to other planets and they hang out there for a long time.
Yeah.
And it usually is kind of light, like light topic subject matter.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. So it is
Yeah, and, like,
comforting in that way.
It's very comforting because you can definitely watch it and get very involved with the characters' stories and definitely like engage with them and enjoy it very, very much over time. And what is the word I'm looking for? You can get invested in it so that it feels like, oh no, this is happening. But then you don't watch it for like a year and you go, that's really light subject matter compared to so much. And I like that.
Did you watch it all the way through?
Oh yeah.
But
I have
then
not
you weren't
watched any of the other
Atlantis.
shows.
You didn't get into.
I watched I think 2 episodes of Atlantis and
Just don't like water.
well, there's also, you can let very over the top acting go for like a certain thing if you're enjoying that specific storyline and those specific characters, but you can't necessarily step back and give that same affection immediately to another show, which is I think why fandom cultures exist and why nerds exist, is to go, I like you, but not you.
You should do? When you turn on SG, you should print out pictures of your character from Stargate SG-1 and then cut them out and then tape them on the TV screen. We're computer monitor. We're modern day kids. And then they'll always be there. And every once in a while, you just go like, you have one of the characters go, you just say like, hey, good call, mister, or something like that. You're like, they're there now too. This is nice.
Hey, good call, mister.
That's what you do whenever a character that you like dies in the show.
Stargate
You just take
SG-1,
it, draw a picture.
see?
Yeah, if you don't have a printer, you just draw a picture of them, put it on the screen, and they're still there. And just hope that one of the other characters looks over that side of the screen at one point.
Aw.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That was a good answer. All right, my number 4 is Friends. I'm going to say the greatest multi-camera sitcom of all time. Or do they call it 3-camera? I don't know. But I'm thinking of sitcoms where they, in front of a live studio audience, and they're obviously not the single camera ones where basically ones where the fourth wall is the audience, so you never see that wall. I'm having trouble thinking of any other sitcoms in that format I still enjoy watching regularly. Like Frasier at times, Cheers at times, I Love Lucy at times. Those are all, they're probably more I think of, but most time now I just go, I don't want to watch this. Seinfeld, yeah, at times. Seinfeld I still like. That's still good.
I want a doorbell that goes, at times.
But I do like Seinfeld. I take that back. But for me, Friends, and Seinfeld is not on this list because the character's name is Seinfeld. Even though it's basically an ensemble cast, the main character is Jerry Seinfeld. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, Friends. They 6 characters. They do such a great job of giving them all equal attention too, and they're all likable in their own way and unlikable in their own way, especially by the end. But yeah, it's
shots fired, Friends.
Yeah, I know. I'm not gonna name names, but am naming shows. Yeah, I love that show still. I think that was like, they found out the best way to do that kind of sitcom. We're done with that format. Thanks, guys, but we're good.
Yeah, they broke the mold.
They did, or they perfected the mold,
and then they broke it so that nobody else
Can use it.
Boom.
Yep.
Yeah, that was almost on my list.
Oh, I didn't make it.
And then I went,
Yeah.
I want to try to see what other things I enjoy a lot.
Cool.
So that's what I'm going
Nice.
with.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm ready for your number 3 if you're ready for your number 3.
I'm ready for my number 3. That's the wrong thing. Whoop. Okay, and my number 3. My number 3 is Star Trek: The Next Generation. I never watched this show when I was a kid. Never, because I didn't have any TV, and the only time I would watch TV was when I was at my grandparents', and that was a lot of Jeopardy, Unsolved Mysteries, Wheel of Fortune, and like a couple other weird 80s movies that they would play all the time. And
Jeopardy is good in Simplecast.
Jeopardy.
That was a dumb thing to say. Sorry, please continue.
It was not, but I did like that you seemed to see like the whole of the universe when you said that. Like, oh. So I just was recently introduced to Star Trek: The Next Generation. How many years ago was that? Even 3?
You knew about it, but you didn't.
I knew about it,
right.
but I had never actually really watched it. I'd seen maybe some of the movies, and so I saw the movies first, and that was like even five years ago.
Oh, okay.
I would watch them at work, and then I started to watch the show, and I binge watched the life out of that show because I had no idea how much I love not only Picard but Worf.
Yeah, I love all those characters. I don't. I kind of feel like it should be on my list, but part of me also feels like, 'cause I don't know it in the show nearly as well as a lot of actual like fans of the show. So for some reason I feel like I'm pretending when I talk about it, but I do like it a lot. I just don't know it nearly as well as most people.
If you asked me like, oh, you remember this alien or you remember this plotline, I'd go no, because I watched it all in like a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah.
And so it's all just a blur of love and affection. For me, it was the fact that I watched it and I was taken aback by, well, not taken aback, but I was surprised by how good the stories could be and how much you could be invested in them and the stories, considering how cheap some of those sets are. And now you know how they would have filmed a lot of that stuff, and like how over the top dramatic it is, and how they're kind of still figuring out what like sci-fi is really. But I just love too that at the very root of it, Gene Roddenberry had a lot of really amazing things to say about acceptance and, you know, don't be racist, don't be awful, and just like all these really hopeful messages that underlie all the stories and all the characters and all of the Star Trek worlds. But mostly at the very, very top of it is how many times Worf does something really weird, like is my favorite. It just comes into a scene and then fades out of it. He's like, nope, this is too weird. I can't be here. And it's great and dumb, and I love it. Yeah.
That's a good choice.
And the fact that Patrick Stewart is acting like he's on a Shakespearean stage the whole time, so that everything is bananas.
What if you were you were leading a starship? And you could pick one member of that crew to be a member of your crew. Which one would you choose? Which one do you think would be the best crew member to have? I have my answer.
I think that it would have to be Picard for me.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because post episode 5, I'm going to say, which is, it seems like that's before he actually had a cup of tea. So he's like very rude and angry, and it's like he doesn't understand that he's in the show that he's in. He's really good at figuring stuff out.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I think Data is probably probably the best, because he's basically a computer that can be a human too,
and he can withstand a lot of tough stuff.
Yeah,
because he's made out of materials that can withstand that stuff.
Oh, for people who haven't watched the show, Data is like RoboCop without the helmet.
Also known as an android.
Yeah, he's like R2-D2 mixed with C-3PO.
So he's not quite like RoboCop, because RoboCop is actually human.
No, he's like Johnny 5 mixed with Peter Pan. No, I know he's not like RoboCop. That was
RoboCop's a cyborg, and Data's an android.
Well, what about?
Sorry.
So is he like Edward Scissorhands?
Oh boy.
So the scissors are in his brain.
No.
Okay. I think I'd pick Geordie though. He's the most comforting, reassuring. He just always seemed to be confident without being cocky, and reliable and friendly. He is very much like
very good choice.
very much
And-
like him on Reading Rainbow.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if ever anything got real crazy, you go, Jordy, read me a book.
Yeah.
Over the rainbow, please. It's getting real rough in here. Reading Rainbow. Okay. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Oh, I'm sorry.
I could have guessed it.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah, that. When I'm watching it, it's my favorite show ever. And then I stop watching it for a while, and then I go, oh yeah, it's really good, but this show's also really good. But there are a lot of shows like that for me that are my favorite while I'm watching it. But yeah, same kind of thing with Friends, where they just, each character gets the perfect amount of attention and time, and they're developed, and they're all funny on their own, and especially together. And
and very much like The League, always want to wash my hands after I
I
watch
get
an
that.
episode.
I never get uncomfortable watching It's Always Sunny though.
You
Even,
have
like,
a
I
crazy
never do.
high tolerance for feeling really awkward
Oh, okay.
about television show awkward situations. I have a very low threshold. I can't take it.
We'll just have to put you in really awkward, uncomfortable situations a lot more until you're numb to it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love it.
I'll start bringing up really personal stuff on the radio.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly casted. Great show. That's pretty much what I'm going to say about all these.
Yeah, that show is very much like a comfort blanket for you,
Very much, yep.
which is awesome.
When I first started watching it, at first I watched it some, and I thought this is hilarious. It's great. Then I took a break from watching it and watched it again, and that for some reason I was going like, they're just trying to be edgy. They're just trying to be cutting edge. And then I got over myself, and I realized it's fantastic. And it is really funny.
Well, I mean, you are a very pretentious person. I think that everybody who's ever listened to anything you've ever said on the radio knows that by now. So pretentious. All right, moving on.
What's your number 2? We're almost number 1. Isn't that exciting?
Ooh. Okay.
When we get to before your number 1, I want to guess what it is, but not till after this.
Okay. And my number 1 might not be my number 1 always.
Oh.
But for sure it is right now.
Okay.
Okay. My number 2 is New Girl.
Oh.
I just realized that I made a grave mistake. I'm going to have to make my number 1 answer. No. Okay. Can I make my number 2 a slash with another show?
Is this 2B? Is
Yeah,
this
2B. Or not 2B.
2A or something? I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So 2A. Okay. 2A is not New Girl. New
Oh.
Girl is 2B.
Okay.
So 2A is Pushing Daisies. I love that show.
Was that one? But it wasn't just like there wasn't like one main character pretty much that I followed, or was it? Did it feel like an ensemble cast?
Yeah, because there were 4 characters
Okay, cool.
that it would follow, and so I'm not sure if that like really justifies itself. Yeah, that's ensemble because it's not just one.
Yeah,
but I loved that show.
I know everyone I know who likes it liked it.
Yeah, it was beautiful and it was really interesting and very, very cool. Anyways, look it up if you've never heard of it because you should have by now. And if you haven't, welcome. Find
Pushing
it.
Daisies was like RoboCop as a TV show.
And Geordie
Yep.
reading a book. New Girl is a great ensemble show. It's very much like Friends, but with a different generation of people.
LeVar Burton. I was trying to think of it in my
LeVar
head
Burton.
for a long time. Sorry. New Girl.
New
Girl are with Zoe Deschanel and Jake Johnson
Yes.
and other people.
It's just a great show. It's very fun. And there are things that are definitely over the top. It's not trying to be quite as realistic as Friends was attempting to be. And at times. I mean, they also weren't really being realistic with how certain people would handle situations. New Girl is definitely more like a self-aware comedy. But it's very fun to watch. And once you get involved with the characters, it's even better. So that's my story.
It's a good story. I like it.
You're welcome.
So you had 2 number 2s? I only got 1 number 2.
Okay.
My number 2 is Party Down.
It's a good show.
Party Down, another one while I'm watching it, my favorite show. Perfect cast.
Yeah.
Just perfect.
Everything about it is great.
It's most people, I won't say most, it does not get the attention it deserves.
No. And that's,
so if you have a chance to go see it, it was on Stars, watch it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those shows that very much has like a cult following, because it could have just disappeared because it ended way too soon. And a lot of the people who are on it have amazing careers now, which is super awesome. But it definitely did not get the marketing that it should have, that it would if it existed now. Like if it existed now, it would be all over the place. Yeah. But it was definitely one of those shows that made it possible for other shows to be made, because people realized that there's an audience out there for weird comedy.
Yeah, but they didn't realize that until years after it was canceled.
Yes.
And it's not even like that weird. It's not like Tim and Eric or anything like that.
No,
it's just
not. It's not absurdist at all. Yeah. It's very much just putting. It's about people who aren't necessarily great people, and it's not like about life lessons. It's not trying to teach you anything. It's just a little bit darker than what you would necessarily put on other stations. It's great.
Okay.
Go watch it.
I agree.
Blah, 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 blah. That's a good number 2.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, your number 1, I'm gonna guess.
Okay.
Is, I want to say it's the same as my number 1.
Ooh, intriguing.
But I don't want to. I don't know. Let's see. Let's both 1, 2, 3 both say our number 1 at the same time. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3 and then say it. You ready?
I'm interested to see if we have the same one.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Parks and Recreation. Stranger Things number 1 for you.
That's why I said
6
right
for
now.
You. It's number 6 for me.
Right now. Parks and Recreation is a really good answer.
That one's
perfect.
That I realized every single character on there, that regular character. Oh, if there was a spin-off show, if they were the main character, I'd be interested.
Oh yeah.
The other characters, it wouldn't be. They would have to create a whole bunch of other new characters to surround them with.
Yeah.
But every single character is great. That was one where once I got past the first few episodes and I realized, okay, this isn't a weird, kooky world.
Well, it's also like once it got past a few episodes, it's like most shows where you see the pilot and it's like, it could go either way.
Yeah, it became more like a cartoon after at the first few seasons, I feel like. But and for a lot of shows like Friends, I felt like it got worse because of that. This it got better.
It got so much better. But it was also Amy Poehler all of them after the first few episodes, they kind of landed on what comedy beat they were going to. It's like they actually settled into the characters. So it's the same thing like with The Office. The Office, the first few seasons are really not the first few seasons, the first few episodes. The first episode for sure is a little bit harder for me to watch.
Yeah.
Because, and it's also the same with Star Trek Next Generation, because people are playing their characters as angrier and darker than they need to be. And so like after a couple episodes in, they're like, oh, it doesn't need to be gritty.
Exactly.
I'm working in an office and I'm weird.
I feel like Parks and Rec I feel like started with, you were almost kind of supposed to feel sorry a little bit for Amy Poehler's character, and where it was like, she's trying, but nobody's
she's
going
so
along.
naive,
and then it just becomes she's super positive, and she's constantly trying. She cares, but she's like doesn't let anybody bring her down at all, and it just works so much better.
That's a really good answer, and I think that if you had asked me a week ago or next week, that would absolutely be on my list.
And Amy Poehler's she is the main character, so I could
that's
understand if people say it's not.
No, that's an ensemble show. Yeah. There is no discussion. That's because if you wouldn't It's you're welcome. But it's absolutely an ensemble show because it's not just about Amy Poehler. Like, it's about all of those people in that office, which is the same with The Office.
Yeah.
And I'm actually a little bit kicking myself because I didn't put either of those.
Well, The
on it.
Office, I feel like, is more focused on Michael Scott than Parks and Rec is on Leslie Knope.
Still an ensemble show
Okay.
because you get equal attention with Jim, Pam, Dwight. Like, it's about, you get a lot of focus
Okay.
on more than just one character. If it was just one character, can I name a show? My So-Called Life. But even
Right.
that's an ensemble.
But I feel like, well, I did have, well, I deleted, of course, but I had a few shows that I thought that I were like great cast, like Breaking Bad, great cast, but he's very much the main character.
Yes.
It's Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, The Office is not like that.
But another reason I didn't put The Office on there is because, especially by the end, most of the characters I didn't care
Unlikable.
about anymore.
Yeah.
Which was too bad. I still enjoyed the show, but after Steve Carell left, they said, "Oh, we need someone to be kooky and weird and stuff. Let's just have them all do that," which is which Friends did too, and so a lot of shows did it. But for Office, it just didn't work nearly as well.
Yeah. Parks and Recreation is a perfect answer for number one.
And Stranger
It's
Things is good too.
so
Stranger
good.
Things is really good.
Stranger Things is right now, today, my number one, because those kids
They're great.
are just so great.
Yeah.
And after watching season 2, I absolutely want to go back and watch season 1.
Yeah, season
And
one had more of them just hanging out and
is
trying
exactly
to figure stuff
what
out
you
together, which I
love.
liked the most. Yeah.
And like, one of the things that's so amazing about it, and it's not the only thing that's informing why I like the show so much, but it's that these are kid actors who aren't trying to act like human beings as if they don't know how.
Oh, right. They're just acting like
They're acting like
kids, like themselves. It
Yeah,
feels like.
because like when we were growing up, 80s and 90s and early 2000s, so many kid actors, I guess that maybe it's because they were stage kids who were growing up in the theater or in the movie industry. They didn't have something to pull from because their childhoods were so very much involved in business and in selling, being a kid. And so it was very like super sugary sweet and like all this. And it's like, that's not what kids are always like.
Right.
I'm not a kid anymore. But like, kids are human beings. They're fully dimensional people. There's, they have full ranges of emotion. They're not just sweet or just cranky, like they're humans. And that's what these kids are. And it's also just a really awesome show.
I know what's great about Stranger Things? There's no fat kid that's always eating.
Yeah. And but there's also not like, they're not trying to shame any bodies.
Oh, right. But it's
That's not like a trope that
Every
they're
other
trying to
movie
lean into.
that's like kids group, they
Yeah.
always had, oh, this kid's fat and he or she likes to eat. That's funny. That's the joke. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And they didn't do that.
They didn't do that. And I definitely appreciate that. And they didn't have any token.
By the way, I'd be fine if they were all fat. It's not like saying like, oh, thank God. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not the issue, is having a character
They weren't
with a
making
different
fat
body
of
type.
people.
Because
Yeah.
there are people in that show that have different body types, but they're treating them like human beings, not like entertainment.
Everyone thinks I hate Asians, fat people.
No.
Jeez.
But I also like that they didn't have any trope characters.
Right.
They were people put into a situation who could have, if somebody else had written it and directed it, been just tropes where you could see exactly how they would respond to things. But, everything is built off of like an archetype of something, but they actually flesh those things out and you can actually enjoy the performances instead of just going, ugh, it's just this character.
Yeah, and they were all silly at times. They're all serious. All those, just like how people are.
Yeah. And so it was really cool. And it's also like weird now to have nostalgia for the 80s, because I only lived in the 80s for 3 years.
All right.
And I just remember like the early 90s and how very much informed by the 80s that was, and how much I growing up was like, barf, let's get out of here. There's too much beige and like way too much Aquanet. Can't handle it. And now there are movies and TV shows that are taking place in the 80s where they're trying to make it the way that the 80s actually were, instead of like going over the top and like, oh my God, Valley Girls.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, no, these people are living in the 80s and they're monsters. Spoilers.
Nice. That's our list.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for coming with the list and having lots of good things to say about each one.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I'm super happy to talk about the things that make me nerdy.
Are you ready for trivia time?
Yes.
Trivia game kind of thing? All right. I'm going to give you a description of a show.
Okay.
It's either going to be a show that premiered in 2017.
Okay.
TV show.
Mm-hmm.
TV show that premiered in the 1950s.
Okay.
Or something I made up.
All right.
So 2017, 1950s are totally made up.
Okay.
Archaeologist George Bennett finds a 500-year-old book that shows him the ancient ways of winning over the heart of any woman he desires. And by the way, if I mispronounce things or whatever, don't take that as a clue or anything. I just mispronounce things a lot.
Is that a real show from the 50s?
No, I made that up.
Oh my God. Good for you.
Thank you.
I was like Love Potion number 9 / Journey to the Center of the Earth or whatever. That's not the right one, but there was one about like an archaeologist who finds like a door into the dinosaur.
Is that the librarian or no? There was that TV.
No, I'm thinking of
TV
one that
movies.
was probably from like the 60s or the 80s.
Land of the Lost.
Land of the Lost.
There we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh,
All right. Your goal. There are. Let me count real quick. 2, 3, 4.
I'm
5,
off
6,
to a
7,
bad
8,
start.
9, 10. I think there are 11. Goal is to get 5 right.
Okay.
A time in Mark Fierston's adult life when he lived in apartment 9K in the building he grew up in, sandwiched between his parents' apartment, his brother, sister-in-law, and their baby's apartment, and his attempts to set boundaries with his intrusive but well-meaning family. Yep,
That is a show that premiered this year.
correct. Can you name it?
No.
9JKL is the show. I've never heard of it till now. All right, if it's a real show, if you name it, you get extra credit. You get 2 points.
Okay.
So you got a point for that. All right. I'm going to put a little mark there to remind myself that you got that one right.
I did one.
You get a star. All right. Set in the years immediately following World War II, a group of farmers joined together to form a militia to protect their land, but end up spending most of their time arguing among themselves. A
show now.
No, I made that up.
Damn it. I knew it. Pardon me. Darn it.
That's fine. A tech innovator creates a cutting-edge crowdsourcing hub to solve his own daughter's murder, as well as revolutionizing crime solving in San Francisco.
That's a real show, right?
From when?
Now.
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah, I don't think that they had the technology for that in the 1950s, so I immediately discounted it.
Wisdom of the Crowd is what it's called.
Huh.
You got that one right. You get another star.
Oh, I get stars.
Uh-huh.
Are they gold stars?
No, they're tiny and black.
Oh.
Frightened by even the smallest social interactions, college student Paul Jenkins builds a robot to attend his classes, study groups, and parties in his place.
You made this up.
You are correct. Nicely done. I want to watch that show.
I think you should write a spec for that show.
Okay. Marshal Matt Dillon keeps the peace in the rough and tumble Dodge City.
Matt Dillon.
Yep.
You made it up.
Nope, that was Gunsmoke, 1950s.
Boy.
Matt
Dillon.
A bus driver and his sewer worker friend struggle to strike it rich while their wives look on with weary patience.
That's real. From now.
No, it's Honeymooners, 1950s.
Oh my God. I've never seen the Honeymooners.
I've seen parts.
I've heard comedians reference it.
Mm-hmm.
And people reference it with like social
Things.
commentary.
Yep. 4 more.
Okay.
An overworked television producer and single mother is in the middle of a fractious separation when her young daughter goes missing in the middle of the night. Both her world and her controversial police series implode.
This is a show from this year.
Correct. What's it called?
I don't know.
10 Days in the Valley.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, well, you were right.
I am right. I've never heard of it.
In a world where mutated humans...
No. It starts with in a world.
In a world.
Thank you.
In a world. Nice. Where mutated humans are treated with distrust and fear, an institute for mutants battles to achieve peaceful coexistence with humanity.
Oh. Is this the X-Men show that is on TV now?
It's on now. It's called The Gifted. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I wasn't sure. I knew it was Marvel. I didn't know if it was X-Men or what.
Yes, it's
All
X-Men.
right, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Danny Williams, a successful nightclub singer, encounters a variety of difficult or amusing situations in trying to balance his career with his family.
Huh. I don't know.
That is 1950s Make Room for Daddy. Last one. We got like 1 minute. Here we go. A struggling cook trades in his chef's hat for a football helmet, slowly turning his team into a group of food snobs that would rather spend their time at Tavern on the Green than on the practice field.
You made this up.
Yeah, I was happy with that one.
Oh my God, that's a good one. but I could hear the satisfaction in your voice.
Yeah, I didn't hide it that well.
That was a good one.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stars. You win.
Yeah, you
Thank
made up some good fake shows.
Thank you.
You're really good at doing that because you definitely come up with really interesting plots.
Well, thank you very much.
What a weird thing to have a chef take over a football team.
Not take over.
Become
you didn't
a
say.
Player?
He trades in his chef's hat for a football helmet.
So that does.
So
make it
yeah,
sound like he
I
becomes
wasn't
a
clear.
player.
My made-up show did not have a very
Did you
clear
intend
description.
to have him be a player?
I was gonna have him be a player.
Okay, so
He's gonna be a place kicker.
A chef that becomes a kicker, who then presumably cooks and feeds, like cooks food for and feeds his teammates, turning them into foodies.
Mm-hmm.
That is a weird premise.
You could have up to like 3 episodes with that premise.
Well, I mean, you'd have to have kind of like a subplot to make it continue for a while. Like murders.
That's true.
They solve murders. And then every episode they end it
by eating
the
murderer.
No.
All right. With that, we end the show. So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you most of all to my guest Ariel.
Thank you so much for having
being
me
on the show. You will be on the show, as you know, if you want to, whenever you want.
Hey,
that was a good sentence. So yeah, thanks for listening. This has been Let's Make a List on KPCA LP, Petaluma's community access radio station. Online at kpca.fm. If you have any questions or comments, email the station at kpca@pca.tv. And you can find our Twitter at Phil and Ariel, where I post stuff about this show and our other show. And I just started posting these shows on YouTube if you want to listen to them, until we start having things archived and ready to download from the KPCA website.
Where would you find them?
So you go to YouTube. You can go to Twitter, and there'll be links there. But also YouTube, just search Phil and Ariel KPCA, or you can search Let's Make a List Phil, something like that. Let's Make a List Phil. I checked that and it works.
Let's Make a List, Phil.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to listen to this again, it'll be up sometime later. All right, thank you everyone. And coming up in just a minute, we've got the Vandermix with Ben Vandermeer. Enjoy. Take care.